Hello everyone, Chaos here, and welcome to another Oldschool Runescape video. Sailing is finally here, and after playing for 24 hours on release day, I have a pretty solid grasp of the early game as well as all the activities you can do to gain experience. And this video is here to guide you through your first couple of levels, as well as frequently asked questions on stream so you can jump right in case you haven't been able to go hard quite yet. Boys and girls, I'll be live streaming most of my sailing journey, so for you not to miss a live stream or a video, make sure to subscribe with notifications on, and join our Discord server with the link in the description for any sailing related questions. In this video, I will mainly talk about the 4 available quests, all 4 training methods, and a lot of questions people had about shipbuilding, salvaging stations, resource gathering, and much more. And before we start, enjoy this clip of me getting the sailing pet at level 17 from a port task. What up? The very first thing we need to talk about is that after player feedback, Jagex rebalanced experience gains for the early game, more specifically from levels 1 to 30. This means that you'll receive roughly 20% more experience, since this part of the game is relatively slow. If you're part of any clan or Discord, you may have seen a ton of people saying that the early game training was painful, but I have yet to remember any non-viable skill that isn't incredibly slow from levels 1 to 30 by training traditionally. I guess we have been playing this game for so long that we forgot what the first few levels feel like, and this is also the case for sailing. One of the most common questions I got on stream is how to customize your ship. This was valid because the tutorial itself doesn't show you every single function at Shipyard, so before we jump into quests and experience gains, let's quickly go over how to pimp your ship out. When you reach levels 15 and 50, you have access to 2 more types of ships called a skiff and a sloop. Think of these as the medium and large size boats after your humble raft. The tutorial showed you how to build facilities inside, but what about the outer part? In order for you to upgrade the outer part of your ship, you have to click on the board west of the dock. Doing so will show you customization options, and here's where you can upgrade the hull, which is the body of the ship, the keel, which is the central part of the vessel, the helm, which is what you use to steer, and finally, the mast and the sails. Each upgrade shows you the required sailing and construction level to build, as well as all materials needed to make it. As a main account, you can simply buy all of the items needed like hull and keel parts, but for your Ironmen and the people wanting to save some GP, you can make both hull parts and repair kits on the workbench north of the dock. You need materials to make these parts, so I recommend docking your boat at a port with a bank nearby like the one in Port Gazard, where I do most of my work. For keel parts and other metal items, you can use any anvil around the game since no special tool is needed to make these other than your trusty hammer. For sails, you can use flax, hemp, and the cotton at spinning wheels. If you want to skip a few sailing levels on your way to the fun training methods, the way to do so is of course by questing. I'll give you a quick rundown of all 4 available quests, what you can get from completing them, and to tell you how much experience you gain and what levels you'll be reaching. Like I said in my previous sailing video, the new skill is locked behind a quest called the Pandemonium. This also serves as the tutorial for sailing and will teach you the bare-bone basics of navigation and boat customization. Not only is this a tutorial for the skill itself, it looks like it will have an interesting storyline which Jagex will expand on in the near future. Completion gets you from levels 1 to 5, and access to your first raft. At level 12 you can do a quest called Prying Times. This one is much quicker than the Pandemonium, so I'd say it's in your best interest to complete it as soon as you hit that level. You need a red berry pie, a steel bar and a hammer, and this will show you how to pry open crates out in the ocean with a crowbar. Once you're done, you will unlock the tool for sea charting adventures, and will also get you to level 15, which is exactly what we need for our next boat. The next quest is available at level 22, which is called Current Affairs. This one was a little longer than the previous 2, but it's super fun to read, so I heavily recommend you checking it out carefully. Completion of this quick detour gets us to level 24, skipping just the 2 levels, and unlocks a little dock you can follow around to chart the ocean currents. This is also required for another sea charting activity, so to complete more of those, this quest is required. The final quest added for now is called the Troubled Tortugans. Requiring level 45 sailing, this relatively short adventure takes you to arguably the biggest island in this expansion called the Great Conch. This is the introduction to a new species in Oldschool Runescape called Tortugans, and it has your character helping a Tortugan called Flupa. This quest leaves a few loose ends which will hopefully be built on in future quest series. After the quest you can travel to the Great Conch via Fairy Ring CJQ, and it features new resources as well as monsters in the form of griffins, one of which you fought during the quest. The most exciting part is a new farming training method called coral nurseries, which have your character planting coral seeds on new crops serving as secondary ingredients for potions. With that out of the way, I bet most of you are here to learn how to get the early game started. I will give you some useful information about each of the training methods with their pros and cons, and to tell you which ones I recommend according to your playstyle. Just keep in mind that this won't go over experience rates, since that is what my future 1 to 99 guide will be for. I will talk about sea charting first, since it's not exactly a training method, but completion of a certain amount or group of tasks will grant you benefits when out in the ocean. As your captain log says, you have different ways of charting the sea with a spyglass, a crowbar, a duck, sea diving gear, and something called a portable weather station. When out in the ocean, you will see glowing spots you can park on top of, and use a spyglass to take a look at a location. Abandoned boxes can be opened with a crowbar, and you need to drink the rum inside to fill out the log. Some of these can be either dangerous or funny, so be prepared. Follow the duck to chart the currents of an area, and with a portable weather station you can document the local weather to report back to the trolls that they give it to you. By far the most cryptic are mermaids you can interact with. They will give you riddles to solve in your chat box, and for this one I recommend checking out the wiki since they could be a little confusing. All of these are a great way for you to go out and explore the ocean, and will grant a little bit of experience every time you do one. The very first training method you'll unlock are port tasks. Whenever you unlock a new port, you'll be able to go there to grab a task from the board and take cargo from point A to point B. This is what a lot of people were complaining about because experience in the early game felt quite painful. But Reddit wins once again by Jagex buffing experience below level 30. The most important things to mention are that experience is based on the level of the task which you can see on the board, but most importantly, the distance between the port. A task from the Pandemonium to, let's say, Port Sarum will naturally give you less experience than one going from the Pandemonium to Brimhaven, even if the level required is higher. The other one is that especially for the early game, do not, I repeat, do not take a task going from the mainland to Zaya. A few people told me that going from the Pandemonium to Port Piscarilius gave them about 1.2k experience early on. This doesn't sound bad, but you will spend upwards of 10 minutes to get there. You have aggressive monsters like sharks and the krakens which can attack in multi-combat areas, and the worst part is that you're not guaranteed to get a task from Zaya all the way back to the mainland. I heavily recommend sticking to the initial ports, since you'll be a lot safer and complete more tasks in the process which could yield the pet. And speaking of creatures, level 30 unlocks bounty tasks. You can give them a try if you want, especially because your targets have a chance to drop new items for decent profit, but the problem is that even if you kill them with ranged or magic, this still feels pretty slow. If you attack them with your cannon instead, you'll receive a sailing experience along ranged. The gist of bounty tasks is that you will be asked to kill certain monsters out in the ocean for special items. But just like classic MMORPG quests, it's not guaranteed for you to get them. Think of these as hunt the rumors but for sailing. When you get the parts, go back to the port master where you accepted the task, and you'll get a chunky drop of experience. I recommend you at least give them a try, but the other methods to compare experience and see if it's something you'll be interested in. The opposite of entertaining is of course AFK, and to cater to players who have 5 wives, 30 kids, and 10 jobs, Jagex added a method called the Shipwreck Salvaging. All you need on your ship is a salvaging hook, and then go to a location which you can interact with according to your level. For the early game, these will be small shipwrecks and fisherman shipwrecks east of the Pandemonium. When you reach a location with sunken ships, you will have to see which one is different since it will be the active shipwreck you can get salvage from. This could mean more stuff floating around it, or the mast floating higher than the others. Park your boat next to the active spot, and click on your hook to start gathering sunken treasure. You'll get items which you can store in your cargo, and when both that and your inventory are full, go back to the salvaging station at a port to identify the materials for a little bit of loot, including collection logs. The most important one is the Sailor's Necklace, which can teleport you to a few locations. It is important to mention that you get sailing experience for both the salvaging supplies and when you identify them. At level 42 you can make a salvaging station for your boat. For it, dig near the entrance to the cave in the Pandemonium, and you'll get a key which opens a chest in the Chinchompa Island. The chest contains the salvaging station schematics, and you can then add this facility to your ship. This is essentially what makes it so you can stay in the ocean indefinitely if you want to drop the less valuable items you get when identifying the salvage. The final training method to mention are the Barracuda trials. To have a balanced skill, Jagex added this way to train, which is the high experience and the low profit equivalent to existing skills, since you don't really get anything from completing them other than sailing related items. At the time of making this video, and probably for quite a long time, we only have 3 Barracuda trials: the Temper Tantrum available at level 30, the Jubbly Jive at 52, and the Gwyneth Glide at level 72. This is where I have spent most of my time leveling up, and if you give it a try, it will be very obvious why a ton of people are mainly doing this. You can think of the Barracuda trials as a hallowed sepulchre for agility. Instead of going to ports to deliver cargo, killing monsters, or salvaging items, the Barracuda trials reward skill with high experience. When you get to one of these, the person in charge of the course will give you instructions on what to do. They will then offer 3 different challenges, each more difficult than the last. You have Shark, Swordfish, and the Marlin trials, all of which offer a chunky drop of experience the very first time you beat the required time. Subsequent completions will still give you some experience, but if you have already beaten the required time, this will become less stressful. For the Temper Tantrum, you need to go from one point to another to gather rum, but you also require to gather all of the crates as you're doing your laps. If you get all the rum but don't get the crates, the trial will not finish. And if you gather all the crates but forget the rum, you will also not trigger the end of the run. This method is great because available at level 30, the Marlin tier of the Temper Tantrum gives a maximum of 23,000 experience per hour when you can do it efficiently. I'm thinking about making a video with all 3 challenges for all the available Barracuda trials, so you let me know what you think in the comments below. At the time of making this video, I'm almost level 72 to start the final one at Priffinus, and the Jubbly Jive is certainly a nice challenge for anyone looking to get the best experience, and the fastest way to level up sailing as soon as you unlock them. The final thing to mention is that increasing sailing levels give you access to new crewmates. Right now, I only have 3 of them, so it will take quite a while for me to see how impactful all of these are for different activities. You can start recruiting people at level 40, so this is a little outside the scope of this video. However, important to note so you know what to look forward to at different levels. You cannot have crewmates on your ship for Barracuda trials, since I guess the NPCs think it would be an unfair advantage and you have to prove yourself by being the only person on the ship. On the other hand, crewmates will be a massive help when you are doing port tasks like cargo from one point to another, killing creatures, and the salvaging shipwreck. To start recruiting, you want to go to where these NPCs are located, and it's as simple as talking to them to accept your job offer. After a conversation, you'll be able to see them in the Pandemonium, and interacting with the crewmate master in the middle will bring up a new menu where you can manage your crew. The bigger the boat, the more people you'll be able to have on board, and depending on their stats, they will be better suited for certain jobs. For example, one may be better for handling the boat than others. Best example I have for this so far is that if you have the biggest boat with 2 salvaging hooks, you can tell one of the NPCs to operate one of them while you operate the other, and have the second one navigating the ship. Since these are technically not super early game, they shouldn't be included in the scope of this video, and I might make a more in-depth one later, but this is just so you know what you can look forward to when you level up. So to summarize this short video, and like I do with my 1 to 99 guides, here is a little roadmap of what to do when you decide to set sails. You will do the Pandemonium quest to go from levels 1 to 5, and then do port tasks from levels 1 to 12. This is where you will do the quest Prying Times, skipping 3 more levels to unlock the second ship. At this point you have a choice between port tasks and Shipwreck Salvaging, which you'll be doing until level 22. Like we mentioned before, here's where you'll do the quest Current Affairs to reach level 24, and then keep doing your activity of choice until level 30. When you unlock the Barracuda trials and the bounty tasks, you now have 3rd and 4th options for training. This will be the core training methods for experience gains, and pretty much all of the information you need to get started in the early game. It may sound underwhelming, but remember that this is an early game guide for you to get started with the skill, so be on the lookout for my 1 to 99 sailing guide in the upcoming weeks, including a bunch of experience rates to know which methods you'll be doing. So sailors of all ages, that's pretty much it for the shorter video to get you started with a new skill over the weekend. I hope you enjoyed and you learned something useful. If you did, let me know which of the sailing training methods is your favorite one so far and why, and if you include the term RSN and your username in your comment, you'll be entered in our weekly bond giveaway for which we will pick a winner on Friday's stream. I want to give a massive thank you to all the people you see on screen for supporting the channel monetarily. All your contributions go towards my family to feed them with tacos and beans, as well as a local animal shelter we help every month. If you like what I do here, consider clicking the join button below to see all of the cool benefits you can get in the videos, in the live streams, and of course in the Discord for a monthly fee. In the next one, I'll bring you guys a money-making video for early and even mid-level players, more specifically things we can have access to with the sailing skill. For now, I hope you have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I will see you then. Peace.